Today we're gonna code lots with Mr. Kim Philpotts, and oh, how amazing you'll be.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the stream. So today we're going to continue on with our Xamarin.Forms UI challenge that we've been dealing with. Hopefully everyone's had a good week. It's Friday, so that's a good thing. Let's duck straight in and have a look at what we're going to do today. And I see Lachlan's there and Ionix Jr. Welcome. Let's have a look. So what we've been working on is we've been working on a little application called, it's the IKEA store application from a design we found at Dribbble. So it's basically an IKEA catalog. I've called it, I think Lachlan put out there in the chat window, the GitHub. So it's the furniture store. So feel free to go and access that. If you want to go and have a look at the Dribbble link, let me post that out as well. There we go. So that's what we're doing today. All right. Well, this is what we're continuing on with. So this is the design. We got a bit of it done last episode. Let's have a look at where we're at. So here's our application. We've got our carousel view inside of here. We can go ahead and we can select one of these and we can come and have a look at the details. Oops, I should get that out from behind my head. So that's where we're at. I've got a bunch of things, a bunch of to-dos that we put in last stream. Let's go and have a look at those. So we'll sort of work through these items here. So we're going to bind the list of colors to a set of variations. So that's basically talking about this section here. So where we can select the color and we want it to update the image that we have here as well. So that's sort of our first port of call. We're going to talk about updating our image, as I said. At the moment, we've just got this in stock hard-coded. So we're going to change that so that we'll use like a converter to switch between different bit of text in here and also a different icon in there as well. We're going to add a cart badge in. Clinton Rocksmith in early with the 100 bits. Thank you, sir. I know you've just gone through the pain of updating your environment as I have. So 100 bits to you too, my friend. We're going to talk about fading in the description. So there's this little fade that goes on down here. We'll have a look at this category selector. Also, the fonts aren't great at the moment, so we might go and update those fonts as well. Clinton, you also upgraded to Catalina. Yeah, good luck. I'm actually holding off on that until I know that 32-bit apps, or what 32-bit apps I use, because otherwise it's going to go horribly wrong. So let me know how it goes, Clinton. It breaks Rider. Ooh, that's nasty. Nasty. All right. Lachlan, you're installing it right now. Well, give us live updates as we go through, Lachlan, so we can see what pain we're in for. Clinton says Visual Studio is good though, so that's fantastic. All right, dual screen on the iPad is great. Yeah, I used an app called Duet, Duet. It kind of does the same thing actually. It allows you to output a second screen onto an iPad, but actually I can't use that because it actually breaks Windows Mixed Reality because of the way it sets up its device drivers. So I've had to stop using that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to upgrading to Catalina. Anime Lover, how are you doing? I'm good. Clinton Rocksmith. Oh, sorry. Anime Lover says I need an IDE to code on my phone. Well, Frank Kruger has something called continuous, which allows you to actually do that, right? Let's see if we can find it. Continuous, that's going to... Frank Kruger, let's see if we can find it. Yeah, so continuous. So this is one by Frank Kruger. Not sure if it'll work on your phone. I'm not sure if you really want to be coding on your phone. But this will allow you to actually work in on your iPad. So that's cool. How do you compile? It says, how do you compile? Well, Frank writes his own compilers. He's that kind of guy. All right, let's have a look at this first thing. Let's talk about binding a list of colors to a set of variations. Now, let's have a look at our code that we have to begin with here. I'll just go ahead and... Lachlan says he's used it on his phone, but it's not very productive. That's not really surprising. All right. So let's have a look and see what we have at the moment. Well, first thing we're going to have to do is let's have a look at our product page and see how we're currently doing this. So this is a little bit of code that Lachlan threw at us last time. This here is the stack layout where we're doing the colors. So let's test my environment. Let's see whether continuous, sorry, not continuous. Let's see if our live update's working, right? So we basically got 3 strings in here, red, green, and cornflower blue. Let's change this one to, say, yellow. There we go. And so we've got that in there, right? So we can basically hard code these in if we want, but what we're probably going to want to do is we're going to have a list of variations, and each of those is going to relate to a different image and a different color that's in here. And we want to be able to select these, and we want to be able to change this this image in real time, basically. What else did we get going? We got ourselves a nice little shared transition happening. So as we move between things here, it does that nice little animation inside of there. We've got our description down the bottom here. So let's get this part here working. Okay, so first thing we're going to need is we're going to need a real item source, I think. Okay, so we're going to have a look at our models and our view models. So at the moment, what have we got? We've got an item model. Our item model has a list of variations in it. A variation basically just has a hex color and an image inside of there. Okay. In our items view model, okay, so in our constructor of our items view model, we take in an item and we basically set this information here. Now, I think an item will need to have a collection of variations, basically. So probably a good idea there is to, with my IDE here, is to actually create ourselves a view model for variations as well. So let's do that. Let's go and add in a class. Call this our variation view model. And we'll derive this from, what is it, base view model? Yep, so we're using MVVM helpers in here to assist us there. Okay, so we'll throw in a constructor which takes in a model object. So the model object for us is going to be a variation. Okay, and what we want to do here is we'll just store that away in a field so we can access it. So we'll say, hey, go and generate me that variable. Beautiful. We're going to want some properties here for the other values that we have. So we're going to need to have a color. We're going to need to have an image in here as well. Okay, so we'll say create ourselves a property. We'll make this a string. This will be our color hex. Because I'm not using Foddy here, I'm actually going to have to set these properties up, aren't I? So let's say return our color hex. So hold that variable there. Okay, we'll add that in, and in our set, we'll go set property. Color hex. And our value. Beautiful, something like that. Okay, so that gives us our property, and it also raises property change notifications as well. Okay, when we change that value. Oh. A tweet just arrived. I didn't have my phone, I could see it. All right, what else do we want? We want an image as well. So the way that we've got our images stored, if we go and have a look at our resources here, we basically went and output these images. We've got the name of the image, we've got a blue one, we've got a pink one, we've got a red one, and for our chairs, we have the same sort of thing. Okay, so what we basically want to do is we want to say for a variation of a particular color, let's give it a different image. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just copy this and change it. So copy paste, and you know what copy paste means, right?
Shame. Shame. Shame.
We'll create ourselves an image property. Plagiarism. I'm plagiarizing myself. Is that still plagiarism? All right, so we've got our image there as well. Beautiful. Now our item view model is now going to want to have a collection of variations, I suppose. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? So let's add in a list of variations. So actually a list of variation view models. For that, variations. Beautiful. And we pretty much want to set these down here. So as soon as we sort of get ourselves an item, let's go and get let's instantiate our font size. All right. Let's instantiate our collection of variations. So we'll say our variations equals a new observable collection. We could do an observable range collection. Beautiful. All right, let's have a look at our model. I think in our model we had, sorry, in our data store, our faked up data store, we have some variations in here already. Okay, so we've added the variations to the list here. Now they've all got the same color at the moment. So let's change that. Let's change them to blue, pink, and red. So blue is going to be RGB, RGB. Red is easy. What's pink in a hex world? There we are. Let's grab a pink color. Righty. Now we've got the same elements down here actually, because we just did that to give us another set of objects. So let's put that in here as well. Let's just change the order of those. Beautiful. And then we've got our third chair, which is red. Green. B. Let's go and find some other colors for beige. What's a beige? E1C699. And charcoal color. Grab that color. That'll at least give us something to work with. All right, cool. So we've got our colors in there. What else have we got down here? Got our get items for category. We've got our variations in there. So pretty much what I want to do now is take those variations and add them into our variation collection. So in our items view model, we should be able to do something like this. And this is a little bit cheeky, but let's just say that. Let's do a for each. I should be able to do this with link probably, but my link knowledge is a little bit rubbish. But we should be able to say, let's go and have a look at item variations. And then go and add that in. So say variations, add, and we'll add in a new variation view model and pass it in that variation. Okay, so now we have our list of variations there. Beautiful. Hopefully now what we can do is we can come back to our product details page and we can set those as the item source. So if we come in here, we can say our item source. So the binding for this page is actually an item view model. So hopefully what I can do is I can just say, we don't need this. I should just be able to sort of come in here and say, let's set its bindable layout to items source equals binding variations. So we bind it to that collection. Our item template should stay the same, except maybe what we want to do is we want to bind that to, so this is the color, so color hex. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we get our colors. And you fail.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
All right, so that didn't work for us, did it? So let's have a look at this. We've got color hex. Let's check out. So item source is binding to variations. Let's have a look at our output, because sometimes that'll tell us if we've screwed up. this case, cannot convert to type of Xamarin.Forms color. All right, so I must be doing something wrong here because whatever it's getting, it can't bind that. Get a color hex. Whoops. It's a string. Good morning, Brisbane. Capital Twitch, welcome. Sunny Brisbane. It's actually sunny in Melbourne today, would you believe? Oh, you know why? I haven't actually set the values here, have I? So let's do this. Let's say our color hex then. Equals variation dot color hex. So we're basically getting the objects from the model, we're putting it into the view model. Let's see if that fixes us up. Binding's always a fun thing to do with on Fridays. Pink, blue, and red. I think that's right. Let's have a look at this one here. This one's beige, and oh, there's our beige, charcoal, and green. A little bit limey, but there it is. So we've got our values set in there. So that's now coming from the right place. So that's beautiful. All right, what's next? How about when we select one of these? Because at the moment they all look like they're selected. So let's add a selection property in here. Just to get us started. Because what we have is inside of our details page here. In order to render that out, we've got a frame which is providing that circle, right? And the idea was that we were going to either toggle that on or off, depending on whether something is actually selected or not. So if we say this is selected, we add ourselves another property in here. Should copy paste, shouldn't I? And we'll set this one to do a set property where it is selected. And we'll take the value in there. And when we first load this puppy up, let's just say it's not selected. Let's start there. Okay. So what we should now see is if we bind the visibility of this to our is selected. Let's try that. Is visible. And so this is binding to a variation view model. So I should be able to say binding to is selected. And we should find that they will no longer be selected. Kind of makes sense, right? All right, cool. So they're not selected. So what we want to do is we want to say, hey, let's go and set the selected, select the sector, so change the selection, based on when somebody clicks on one of these items. Okay, so let's do this on a tap gesture recognizer. And we're going to have to stop this in order to do it. Now, we could do this just in code behind. We could also do it in the view model as well. So we could just basically put in the command, right? And we could say, hey, let's go and do a command. And in our command, we'll update the selected variation. So let's say we had, let's say in our item view model, we'll have ourselves a command. Let's just say we'll have a command. Yeah, that'll probably do us, right? Using James's command there. iCommand's an interface. So what in MVVM helpers, James has a command object, which is actually sort of would implement iCommand. And I think the one in James's has asynchronous support as well. So that's kind of the difference. The difference between an implementation of it and an interface of it. Okay, so what we probably want to do here is we want to set that command up because at the moment it'll just be null. So let's say our variation selected command equals a new command, and we're going to take in a variation view model, right? Because that's what we're selecting. And then we're ultimately going to want to go and right? We need a method, don't we? Say variation selected execute. I never know how to name these things. Let's add in some usings here. And new command. God, I suck at MVVM. All right, there we go. And we should just be able to generate the method for this. Okay, cool. So this should be, hopefully, when we bind this up, what gets called when we select one of these. We'll add that in a second. So let's do this. Let's do something a little bit hacky here. And I'm sure if Clinton's here, he'll yell at me for this. But let's do this. Let's go through our variations. And say these aren't selected. And then we'll get our object here. Set that as selected. And we could update the image, I suppose. Let's try this first of all. Okay, so let's see what happens if we get this command and we bind it from our product details page. So we're going to have a tap gesture recognizer. Let me get this out of the way. Command is going to equal variation selected command. Yeah. And our parameter is going to be this object, right? So a variation view model. Let's see if that works. Hey, Trevor Dale, welcome. Oh, that didn't work. Hey, Clean Swift, nice to see you. So Spirit of the War. How am I? I'm good. I have a question. What is the minimum requirements for a C# to developer to get into their first job? Well, that's a good question. It's hard, but I suppose experience with C#. In reality, though, I think probably a good starting point is to have some projects in like GitHub, in order to show your skills, I suppose. Anyone else got any tips? What's the minimum requirements for a C# developer? It also depends, on what you're going to be developing, because, are you going to be doing web applications? You're going to be doing mobile. So I suppose that's a big thing. So what I would do is I would, pick a project. So either like you can do what I'm doing here and just sort of build out some samples, or find yourself a project that's appropriate for what something that you need. Develop an application for that. Put it on GitHub so people can see it, and you can sort of point people to that during like a job interview or what have you. I know that Scott Hanselman, for example, has put out like a bunch of getting started with C#. I'm not sure whether you're just getting started or not, but yeah, I would go, like for example, at the moment it's what is it? It's October. It's like open source October. So there's lots of open source projects looking for contributions.
Today we're gonna code lots with Mr. Kim Philpotson. Oh, how amazing you'll be.
Wowzers. Thanks for the follow. Hacktoberfest. So here's an example. So let's have a look at Xamarin. Probably not Hacktober. What is it? Let's have a look. It'll be on the Xamarin blog. Hacktoberfest, Xamarin Edition. Okay, so what this is all about is, getting people to contribute, right? So this is a really good starting point. So the idea of this, let me just post this into the chat window, is basically submitting a pull request to Xamarin.Forms, and I'm sure there's lots and lots of other projects that are doing this as well. But that's an example of how you can get started and find a project to work on, or pick your own project. So yeah, lots of things in there. Now another question there is, using star as a command parameter, is that the same as using dot? Actually, that might be. I don't think I use star. You find I used, yeah, this is just the font that I'm using, right? So the font that I'm using when I do a dot, actually 2 dots looks like that. When I do a dot, it looks like that. A star looks like this. So that's binding dot, right? So binding dot I think I could actually just omit that as well. I think I could just go binding would work as well. Says bind to the actual object itself. Yeah, so in this case, it's binding to a variation view model, because that's what we were passing into item view model here. Right, that's a command parameter. Which makes me think actually that this command is actually in our items view model, isn't it? And the binding source that we're going to have here is actually a variation view model. Okay, so that's going to be a problem. So what we actually want to do is we want to call the command on this, on the items view model, not the variation view model. So we kind of want to reach up and select our items view model. So we can kind of do that, right? By, I never remember the syntax for this. It's something like, if I say, I want this command to bind to a binding context variation selected command, and then I can say the source for this equals, and then I get the binding source for the page. Let me bring this across here. So I could say, I have to give the page a name, but I could say, let's reference a XAML element. Right, so the root page. Give this guy a name. Right, so what that's saying is, it's saying, when I issue this command, call the variation selected command on the binding context, which is the root page, and then pass in as a command parameter the binding of dot, which is our variation view model. Let's see if that calls it. I'm going to put a breakpoint here, for example, just to see whether it's calling that command. This one, and I'll select. Cool. Okay, so it's calling the right view model, and then it's saying, yeah, is selected false. Hey, there we go. Beautiful. Worked a treat. Green's a little bit wrong, but there we go. So that's allowing us to select our variations. Fantastic. All right, so the magic that makes that work, or this highlighting of this, let me make this a little bit bigger here. Is really just saying set and is selected on one of these. Update the image. The problem here is actually that if I have this one selected, change the color of it here as well. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Probably a bad thing. All right, but anyway, what I was saying is the bit that makes this work is this here is binding to the variation view model, or the collection of variations. We're saying for a variation, if it is selected, then make that frame visible. If it's not, don't make it visible. Okay, cool. That seems to work pretty well. Maybe what we could do We could say, let's have a selected variation and then bind this to the selected variation. Although I kind of like the fact that this updates to the one that you've selected. We should leave it like that. Let me know what you think in the chat window. Actually, one thing that we probably also have to do is probably have to set the default one as well. Because what we do is we say, okay, well, let's go and get our variations. We add them in here, but we probably also want to say, hey, let's get our first variation. And we'll literally just go like first variation. Stop this. Equals variation. And variations like, I don't know, first or default, maybe. And then we'll say that is selected. Where did my window go? Here we go. So that way when we come in here, yeah, pink is selected. Okay. Hello, Slovenia. Xamarin. Welcome. What time is it in Slovenia? Oh my goodness. The middle of the night. So welcome. Thanks for joining us. Late night coding, I love it. Okay, cool. So that's probably pretty good. Back to our thing here. So we've bound our list to a set of variations. We've said select in item updates image. Converter for in stock to show the image and text. Okay, cool. So at the moment, we're just showing in stock. Always true, because we've basically hard coded that in there. So what we want to do is we want to say based on an in stock, let's either show our green tick and say in stock, or we'll show a red cross and out of stock. So to do this, we can go ahead and we can use a converter. Let's have a look at. Let's have a look at the docs for converters. Okay. So what we want to do here is we want to say, hey, let's create ourselves. We want to be able to say, in our object at the moment, we have not whether it's in stock or not. Australian internet. I think we're back. Okay, we's back. And we're back. Thanks, Travi. All right, let's add in a property for our in stock. Copy paste as you do. And so we'll say in stock, we're going to set our in stock. So let's set that property in stock. Okay, so now we should have an in stock property on our item view model, which means now in our products detail page, wherever we're showing that, which is going to be here, instead of just showing a tick or in stock, we want to swap the image and also this text here as well. Now, a couple of ways you could do this, right? You could have, you could have a property which is like, public string in stock text, right? And you could have that, and you could have a in stock text, and you could have an in stock image, or basically stock text and stock image, and then you could bind to that. And when this changes, you could go and update these values here. But that's like a little bit messy. So normally in MVVM world, you want to basically keep that view stuff in the view, and to do that, we can use converters. So what we really want is we want something which will convert a bool to string. So let's create a bool to string converter. Interesting. Whatever. Let's go and add a new class. This will be our bool to string converter, which is going to be of type, right? So a converter, converter, is that right? Value converter. There we are. Okay, so a value converter has kind of like two properties, right? You either are setting it or you're going one way or the other. So there's two methods. There's a convert and there's a convert back. So what we would want to do here is we would want to say, okay, well, based on the value, which is going to be a Boolean, right? So we could say like, let's cast that to that value to a Boolean. And then we could say, if it's value equals true, then we could return in stock or out of stock. But we can actually do something here. We can actually create ourselves a couple of properties. All right, so we could have the true value. So let's call this like our true string. And we could have a false string. Right, and this will allow us to kind of reuse that anywhere we want to take a bool and convert it to a different strings. So we could say if it's true, return true string. Otherwise, return the false string. Right, and then we can set that in our converter. Now, there's no point in us converting back. We don't really want to convert from a string to a bool. So instead of not implemented, I think the general idea here is you do a not supported exception, which means that it doesn't support converting back. We could do this in one line, couldn't we? Doesn't matter. That'll do. So if our boolean's true, return the true string, otherwise return the false string. So now with our converter, we set up a reference here into our resource dictionary to point us at that. And then we go ahead and we use it. Let's do that. Let's go back to our product detail page, and up in our resources here. Well, actually, I have to add a namespace in for my converters. Okay, so it can go and find that converter. And then we'll say something like bool to string converter. Give this a key. So this might be something like our out of stock message, something like that. Let's say call this in stock text converter, and we should be able to give it a true and a false value then. Right, so we can say true, we'll say in stock, and for false, say out of stock. Okay, so we've got that converter there. Cool. And we should be able to apply that to our binding here. If we say this is binding then to our, what was it, in stock converter equals static resource, and then I got to remember what I called it. Something like that, I think. Okay, let's try this. Order string converter, cool. Let's make some of these things out of stock. Let's make this one out of stock. That kind of makes sense, what we're trying to do. Coffee, good. So this one, this one says out of stock. What? This one says out of stock. All right. So what does that mean? That means that it's getting the value from the converter. Yeah, so Travidale, you're lurking. That's good. It's fine to lurk. Yeah, I think the converter is an easier way to do it. Okay, so what's going on here? In stock is false. Going to have a look at our view model. Are we setting that? No, we're not setting it. Look, I made the same mistake before. In stock equals item. This is the biggest problem with MVVM, is that you end up sort of creating all of these little sort of proxy things where we're setting it. So let's try that. This one should be in stock. Yeah, in stock. This one should be out of stock. Beautiful. That one's in stock. Great. Okay, so that's working. Next thing is to change this icon, right? And so what we have in terms of icons in here is we've got a tick, which is that little tick, and we've got a cross. So we basically want to say, if it's in stock, make it a tick. If it's out of stock, let's make it a cross. So we can use it. So here we got the source of tick, right? We could actually use exactly the same approach for this, I think. And we might not even have to stop running. Let's try this. Let's add this in and we'll say, we're going to use our bool to string converter and we're going to say in stock image converter. And our false is going to be a cross. And if it's in stock, let's make it a tick. And then come back down here and create this binding to in stock. Get this out of the way here. So we'll say a static resource of an in stock image converter. That didn't work very well, did it? And binding in stock, our converter, static resource in stock image converter. I was hoping that would work for us. Look. Just run that up again, see what happens. I'm not sure whether it's going to take this converter in the... Let's try spin it up again. Nope. Right, let's have a look and see if we can find any issues here. Ah, look at that. That is not how you spell converter. That would be really nice if that would give me an error. And also, we need an equal sign in there as well. Hey, there we are, in stock. We got a tick. Out of stock, we get a cross. Beautiful. There we are. So we can use the same converter, right? Because ultimately, an image can take the source of a string, which is just the name of the image. It's kind of like two birds with one stone, which is nice. Cool. All right. All that done. we're making progress. That's good. Okay, add to the cart. Should show a cart badge. Well, let's just see if we can get a cart badge first of all. Now, I think there's a badge component, but I think it's well out of date. I know Sync Fusion has one. There's this one here as well, which is like a few years old. I think this was done. Circle view. It's done with renderers. I don't think we need to do that. Umit, hi Umit. What am I using for these transitions? Yeah, so there's a super cool library, Umit, called Xamarin shared transition. So there's this library here, which is awesome. Oops, that's not it. So this library here allows you to, well, do shared transitions. So we used this quite a bit in the last project that we did. But basically all you do, and it's actually worked out really, really nicely. All you do is you say, for example, on our main page, we're going to have an image in here. Okay, so you're going to have an image and you're going to say, hey, I've got this image, my selected image, and then you give it a key in here. And you say, hey, I'm transitioning this group, right? And then in your product detail page, where you've got the image, you say, you give it the same name. And so then it knows to move that image from there to there. And it does a really, really good job. Yeah, that's that. Very cool library. And that's why I like doing these UI challenges, because you get to discover these various components that you know, that I certainly hadn't used before the last UI challenge. Alrighty. Is this the IKEA API? It's not. I'm not using the IKEA API. What I am using is I'm just using a design from Dribble, which is this one here, and I'm just backing that with some dummy data, basically. I don't think IKEA has an API. Does IKEA have an API? I'm curious now. I'm sure they wouldn't. They should. They totally should. There's an API for their home automation stuff. Web scraping. We don't want to web scrape. Ooh. Private APIs. What could go wrong? Let's have a look. Let's see if it works. I don't think it's going to give us our images though. Forecast available stock. Actually pretty cool. Dog.ceo. What on earth is that? I had to just open that up on a different window, make sure. Dogs as a service. It's awesome. All right. That's cool. Dogs as a service. Everything is a service. Yes, exactly. I love it. Anyway, we digress. We digress. What were we talking about? We were talking about shared transitions. What are we trying to do? We're trying to add a badge up here. So let's let's keep that running. Let's just add a badge in code here. So this top section here, we actually, if we have a look at our code, we created a title bar control. The controls, we have our title bar. Okay, cool. Let's create ourselves a badge over here. So the idea is probably just to have a...
Today we're gonna code lots with Mr. Kim Philpotson. Oh, how amazing you'll be.
Nick, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. So, what are we going to do? We'll add in a bit of XAML here. We'll create. Let's just play around with this first of all. So we've got a image. What we'll do is we'll just add a box view. Right, we'll add a box view with a corner radius, and we'll just jam some text in the middle, like that, and we'll see how it looks. Now it wants to go over top of this, so let's put this in a grid. And we'll put this in column 1. That shouldn't make any big changes. Update. Yeah, that did update. Okay, cool. So over top of our image, let's try this. Let's get a box view. Center this box view vertically and horizontally. We'll give it a width request. So we'll say, I don't know, let's make it, I don't know, what do you think? 20 is probably a bit big. Let's just try 20. Let's just see if we get it. Height request of 20, and we'll give it a color of, let's have a look at our design, see what color this is. It's the IKEA yellow. And IKEA yellow is color here. So we're going to box view. Give it a corner radius. 10. Now we've got a circle. That's cool. It's totally in the wrong spot. So let's put it there. We'll put a margin. Hang on. I think we want to get rid of these margins out of here. Let's apply. Let's do this. Let's just make the grid, and we'll put the elements inside of the grid in the right place. And that way we can just center everything else. So if we say that's centered, then we should be able to get rid of that. We should be able to get rid of those. And end up with something terrible. Maybe we want to put a margin in here. All right, cool. Now, if we do a translate on this, so we move it, we say translation X of 10 and a translation Y of 10. There we are, it'll offset it for us. Now, how big is this badge in reality? Probably not too bad, actually. Might be a tad big. What do you think? But let's just try this. Let's put some text inside of here. So let's say we'll put a label in here with a text equal to 1. We want to say, we want to give it the same translations so that it appears in the middle. We'll say horizontal text alignment is centered. Sorry, horizontal. And center. Okay, there we go. We've got some text that appears in there. All right, fantastic. That's looking pretty good. Have a look at the fonts and things. Okay, it's a bit of a darker font. Or more bold font. We probably got a style that we could use here somewhere. And let's have a look at our app XAML. Why don't we just create ourselves a new style? And we'll call this badge text. So this is title font. What color is it? It's like that blue color, probably this one. Feel like it's going to be fairly small. Oops. One unsupported edit. Just see what happens here. I might have to stop this and start it again. think it hasn't taken those changes. Let's try build this again. Okay, built successfully. Not quite what we're after. Let's just see what, just for the moment, let's just see where that is. Okay, it's there. So what we want is we want a vertical text alignment. Okay, and then let's get rid of that background color. So there it is there. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it 12 point. Ooh. That changed my app XAML. It's not reloading. That sucks. That's pretty good. Cool. So now we have a, we got ourselves a badge. Okay. Oops. Let's put this, let's put, I think we're going to do UWP at the moment. I'll get rid of that. Okay. Let's say, okay, so we got the badge display done. Cool. Fading of the description. Okay, what's fading of the description about? What that is about. Yes. I remember how to do this. Turn into. There we go. Okay, fading of the description. So in the design, have a look at one of these pages here. It actually has a fade here. Okay, so as it gets towards there, and it basically adjusts the fade just in the bottom section. There's a few ways we could do this. Let's talk about the approaches, and then let's talk about which one we should use. So one approach that I've used in the past is you could literally create yourself an image, right? That's like this big, that is a linear gradient between transparent and white. Right, so like you've literally got, you know, this transparent thing, and then you could overlay that on top of this text here. So that's one way you could do it, but that kind of sucks because it's a little bit hard to, it's probably a little bit inefficient, but it's hard to get the sizing of it right on different size devices. So let's not go that approach, but that's one way we could do it. The second approach that we could use is we could use skier sharp to do it. So we could create a skier sharp render, and basically render this same sort of image out in code and overlay it on top. The third approach that we may be able to use is to use something like pancake view. So, and we've already got pancake view in here, I think, because that's what we use to basically do this section here. So so which of those three options would we want to go? Image overlay? No, I don't think so. Skier sharp. It's going to give us the most control. And in fact, there was a blog post that we had in the weekly Xamarin last week. It does pretty much the same thing. Let's have a look. Weekly Xamarin. Gradient overlay. All right, so this same idea. So this is a blog post by, let me find out who it's by. Matt Crombie, right? Which is pretty cool, right? So what it is it's creating an overlay, and he uses skier sharp to do it. So if you actually have a look at the code, what it's doing is it's setting up a gradient and then using that. So, that's definitely one option that we could use. I think we're probably going to be able to do it with pancake view. Because in my opinion, pancake view is becoming one of the sort of go-to elements in Xamarin.Forms. It does gradient backgrounds, and it also does stepped gradient backgrounds now as well. So let's try this, right? Because I think we've already got pancake view inside of this project. Do we? Yeah, we got pancake view inside of here already. So let's just try this. Let's see what happens. So somewhere down here we've got a description. Here we go. Move this up out of here. See if you can see that. Okay, so we've got a description here. Let's have a look at what would happen if we said, let's create a pancake view. I'll just put it in red for the moment. All right, cool. So that's going all the way over the description, right? So what we can probably do here instead is say, I'm gonna have to go and have a look at the docs on this one. Let's have a look. Gradient, no. So there's now gradient stops. Background gradient stops. Because what we could do is we could do this. We could say, hey, let's go and say background gradient angle is, I don't know, probably 0. We could say background start color is transparent. Background end color is white. And there we go. So that has basically given us a nice little gradient there. Now the problem with this, I suppose, is that it's the gradient going right from the top to the bottom. So what we should be able to do is we should be able to use these gradient stops. So let's see if we can work out how to do these. view dot gradient stops. Gradient stop collection. Gradient stop, which has a color. Let's just see what it's doing here. So we'll say that's red. And it has an offset. So let's say we start at 0. Let me move this over here maybe. So let's say we have a red starting at 0, and we'll go from red, we'll try red to blue. At offset 1. Cool. All right. So that's that allows us to create that, right? And we could also do this. We could put another stop halfway, for example. If we wanted this to only have a gradient over halfway, we could say like 0.5. Which means it's going to be red all the way to there, and then it's going to do the gradient. So that might be good for us because we can say, and I should be able to get rid of these two properties here. And say, let's go from transparent to white. And now that's cool, right? Because what that means is it means our gradient just starts down here. So it's just in that bottom section. Now, unfortunately, it's also doesn't allow us to scroll up enough. Let's see if we can fix that. Maybe if we apply a margin to a padding to our scroll view. Let's see what happens. If we say a padding in our scroll view, 0 at the left, 0 at the top, 0 at the right, 30 at the bottom. Ah, cool. So that basically gives us a little bit of extra space in there. Awesome. Let's also do this. Let's also put a little bit of margin in here because it's so we want to say 0 left, 0 top. I don't know how big our margin is. 20 right. Yeah, just to bring that in from the edge there. That's pretty cool. Let's just have a look with some other ones here. And that one there, there's not a lot going on. It can pretty much all fit in there. Let's see what it does with a lot more text. I'm just going to throw in some sample text here. Yeah. Just some more in. That works kind of nice. Beautiful. All right, well, let's change that back to our binding. Oops. Here we go. Nice. Alrighty. Tested on iOS. Jeesh. Let's have a look at the general design. So what have we got? We've got a category selector. That's this one here. All right, category selector. So what we want, let's have a look at the design. For that square there. In the category selector, what we have is we've got a little section here, which is indicating which one of these is selected. It's got a nice little curve on it. We can do all this with a box view, I reckon. And then as we tap on one of these, we want to presumably move this across. All right. Now I don't have any different sections here. So maybe what we'll do is we'll just get the thing working so that it can select a different one. So we'll start with that. Okay, so let's go back to our main page then. Grid row 3 is where we have, no, not grid row 3. I think this is probably something you'd want to build into a control, but for the moment, let's do this. So this is grid row 1. Let's add in box view, grid row 1, vertical, and we'll say give this a color of blue. Beautiful. Let's make this, give it a height request of like 5. And we'll say its vertical options are at the end, which means it should appear down the bottom. Cool. Let's also say its horizontal options are start. And we could give it a width request of 70. Okay. Cool. So if we got that there, what we should be able to do, right, is we should be able to say, hey, let's go and translate that X over to like, I don't know, 300, for example. And we can move it based on one of these being selected. Alrighty. Oh, the other thing we want to do as well is we want to give it some rounded corners, right? So let's say corner radius 5 at the left, 500, and I think that will give us, yeah, that gives us rounded corners up here. Let's work out what color it is. Kind of this this blue color here. Be quiet in chat. Anyone got any questions? Anyone got any jokes? Apparently not. Anyone upgraded? Where do cows go when they like to go have fun? I don't know, Travidal. Where do cows go when they like to have fun? To the movies. Travidal, do you have kids? Two boys, yeah. I've got two boys as well. Because I can spot a dad joke a mile away. That was cool. All right. I just started my my thing updating down the bottom. It's got a few jokes in there. All right. Let's do this. Let's do this. So what we want to do is we want to say, hey, when we select on one of these, let's move this thing to the appropriate location. And let's also change the style. Let's first of all get this thing moving. I'm just going to do this like the super cheaty way to begin with. Like, because we may want to use a control for this. It kind of, yeah, I don't know. Let's have a look. Let's just do this first. Because I'm not aware of a control that does this. What we're trying to do here. But it should be quite easy. We should be able to go like this. This is how to create a really simple little bar that moves. All right, so let's create ourselves a little chap gesture recognizer. And let's actually use that for all of these. All right, so if we tap on any of those, it's, whoops, it's gonna follow the same method. Alright, and let's try this. What we should be able to do okay, move the selection bar to the tapped item. I need to give this a name, a little selection bar. Where is that? Call this our selection indicator. So we should be able to say selection indicator. I have to save my main page here. Dot translate to. Right, so that'll basically change the translation. We're going to change the Y translation. So first of all, we'll get the sender as a label. Translate this to, on the X, we'll say L dot X. So we want to translate to the right same place over 0 to 50 milliseconds with an easing. Let's also do this. Let's make it the same width as that. Let's see what that does. Just with
sometimes things don't work.
It's not going to work, is it? Something like that should just give us a nice little slider, basically. So now as we tap on those, that's pretty cool. Now, what do we want to do next? Let's update the style of these. So what I want to do is want to say, when we select one of these, let's make all of the others deselected and then change the style. So we'll set the selected item's style. Now, I can't remember how to do this. How do I do this? Set a style in code. And say, okay, you can do something like that. Go and get a resource, assign the style to it. So I could say l.style equals, and we had two styles set up already. If I'm not mistaken, we have category selected header style. All right, well, it kind of worked. It set the style. But what it didn't do was it didn't unselect the other ones. Now the problem here is I don't know the item that was previously selected. So what I kind of want to do set all the ones to deselected. Try that. So what I could do in this situation is I could say, hey, let's go through all of the children of this. So if I do that and say, hey, I've got category grid, should be able to say for each of the children, which are all labels, so if it's a label, let's set its style. Let's find out what that other style is. Like rolling your own grid here, or rolling your own collection view. See if that works. That works a charm. Look. Now what I probably want to do is I probably want to just start this out. Let's just do this for a second. Let's just start that box view out in the right place. Suppose we could do this, right? We could extract this into a method. Apparently not. Okay. Let's just do this for the moment. By this. See if that works.
Sometimes things don't work.
Oh. All right, what's the time? It's almost 12 o'clock my time. I might have to get going in a moment. But we're pretty close, I think. I feel like that worked. Yeah. I think we might have to get a little bit more crazy with this. And we might have to have a selected category in our view model. Stop just driving it from labels. But do this. Let's add a category into our view models. All right. So let's add a category in there. So we will need to add in category items. Category view model. and update our UI. Oops. Update the main page to use the view model. All right. So I'm going to leave that here, I think. Look, I think we're in... Let's just try running it under iOS. Let's see what happens under iOS. Here we go. And sign off. I've got to do my real job. See how it looks under iOS. So what's this running? This is iOS, an iOS 11 device. Running 13.1. It's just an error I get. Okay. So that seems to have worked. We probably want to get rid of these navigation bars down here and in here. Well, that seems to be working. That's nice. Actually, you know what? I know that, let's just quickly do that before I sign off. So I know that Zamgirl had a blog post on this. Actually, because there's a couple of properties you can set in order to hide that top navigation. So it's a cool little blog post, this one here. And all we really want to do then down here is hide this. So we want this little bit of code here. So it's basically a platform specific, which says, hey, go and hide the status bar. Let's go try it out. We'll stick it in our main page. And the other thing they have as well is hiding that stupid indicator that exists in iOS now as well. Let's put that there. Let's put it also in our product detail page. And we'll see if that works for us. Build. We'll try it again. We'll see what happens. Hey, I see James Montemagno is streaming at the moment. We should go and raid James.
Sometimes things don't work.
Wowzers.
Sometimes things don't work.
All right, what happened here? I'm going to clean this. Sometimes I get this with iOS.
Sometimes things don't work.
I think this is just a false. Hey, Dragon. Finally home, stuck in a deployment call. Yeesh. That sucks. Well, let me clean this. What does founder mean in a Twitch channel? I have no idea. What does founder mean? Or maybe that means you're the first subscriber. I don't know. That's cool. You're the founder. Yeah, I'm just seeing that here as well. That's cool. So, yeah, you know, thanks for the support for sure. Ah, Hugveld, the first 10 subs on affiliate, first 25 on partner. Ah, cool. I don't have many subs, so, why is this failing? I should look at this error. These here are all just rubbish, these ones. Variation, let's get rid of these messages. I don't believe any of those messages, actually. Does that make me a bad person? Yeah, I've also been getting that same name scope error as well. I think, yeah, well, actually, I'm not going to say I don't know what it is. Let's do this. Just build this. Let's just clean this puppy. Yeah. I didn't think it was a real one. All right. Let's see if we can see if this gets rid of our toolbar. If it does, we might call it quits. I don't know what James is doing streaming at the moment. But maybe we'll go and we'll raid James. What do you think? What is that? It's dropped our image. God, iOS, I have no idea what you're doing. Get a background. What is... How did that become unselected? You're killing me, iOS. You're killing me. All right, let's try that one more time. We're almost there. I promise. So, Dragon, you're going to have a nice relaxing evening then? Actually, it's probably middle of the night for you, isn't it? I've been getting that error for a while. Okay, that's better. Okay, beautiful. All right, so we've made some progress. I've got to get going. It's 9 p.m. Dragon. I have to be up at 4 a.m. in case something goes wrong. Oh no. That's terrible. That's terrible. Well, look, I'm gonna set up a raid, and we'll go and we'll have a look at what James Montemagno's doing, because I see he's streaming, and we'll say hi.
Today we're gonna call
and thank you to
Mr.
Even
Kim
for the
the
follow.
Amazing you'll be.
Yeah, I'll try and put those VODs up, and like pretty much for this one here, I think I'll do a little bit of a tidy up. Pretty much done. So maybe on the next stream we'll try a new one, because somebody did hit me up with a UI that they want to do. Let me see if I can find it for you. Which looks like a fun one to do. Yeah, this one here. So we might do this one next week. Looks kind of funky. Yeah, it's really nice. And so it's got a few extra sort of challenge ingredients in it as well. And yeah, we'll build that one out, I think. Okay, but for now, I'm going to sign off. So thanks, everyone. Travidale, and we've had a few follows as well. 2 even. Nikumba. A bit of cheers from Clinton. Werbeth Vera. I'm probably saying that terribly. But let's go ahead and let's raid, if I can work out how to do it, because every time I fail at raiding. So let me set up a raid. I think that might be how I do it. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to log into James's channel so I can see what's going on. And yeah, make sure you, when you get across there, say hi from our stream. And see you all next week. Bye for now.